All right, so it is finally time to get back into trying to find out how to add a semantic search into our project, our advertisement project. So I'm going to minimize myself and we're going to jump right into it. So, all right. Um, Now, one of the questions that I'm talking about is so how are we going to do this PG vector with the SQL? So trying to let me come back to my bid engine. We're going to get rid of all of this. So this is what we're looking at. This campaign, this is the class. It is a C# class that I am creating that uses the entity framework we'll use to be able to connect to my Postgres database. Okay, so now how is this going to operate when I want to do the vectoring for my for the advertisement? Because each ad is going to need to have a vector associated with it and a paragraph. So I need both of these things. So generate search vector. Let's see, it's talking about here. You need to add two things to the raw description. To generate the vector and embedding yourself, okay? So I need this and a description, and I think this should also be able to be null. Um, so we're gonna ask a whole bunch of follow-up questions. So my existing things, and then we have campaign. Okay. So now here, what I want to do is follow what it's suggesting here. Okay. Can I make this even smaller? There. Okay. So now I can move this over and move this over like that. And then we have this right here. Okay, so what I want to do is I'll have a public member and I want to turn off Copilot. All right, so public string, and we'll have description. Did I spell that right? Hold on. Description. And then these ones, the get set, and then is equal to string dot empty, like that. There we go. And now the second one that we want to add is a public. Now this one is interesting. PG vector dot vector nullable embedding, and this is also going to have the, let me fix that, there we go, the get and set here. Now we need this PG vector, so I'm guessing that we'll need to import that into our project file NuGet package, I'm guessing. So, okay, the bid request flow. So, follow-up, I'm gonna start asking my follow-up questions. For PG vector, how does how does this change the entity framework is there just please give me as much information as you can to explain how this is working to be able to change and interact with my Postgres database. Use analogies if you can. Analogies if you can. Okay, so I'm going to go here, and then while that is doing its thing, I also need to figure out how am I going to include it. But as of right now, I don't even know what it is, right? Like, so I know that I'll need to do the namespace up here, but then I need to add that package. So first I want to figure out what is it even. Okay, to understand PG vector how PG vector changes your entity framework setup, it helps to think of it not as a new database, but as a new language. Okay, interesting. So it's not a new database. It's just a new language, a new way of translating. Okay, here's the breakdown of how it works and how to set it all up. So the library of meaning. By the way, did we not? Yeah, so we didn't read through this yet. We will need to. So imagine your current SQL database is a standard library index. You search for books by their exact title or specific category. So my current way of using SQL is it's like a library. Okay, yes, that makes sense. I'm looking for books and I have to say their exact title. So where category is equal to cooking. Yep, that makes sense. I would have some category. An example of category is where type. Where is add type? Hold on. Where is add? Here are ads. So created at description title. Where is it? Status, and that's not what I'm looking for. Today spent created at targeting rules. Here, rule type. There we go. So these ones are going to be like talking about, is it a banner ad, for example? And then from that, I am able to say like I'm able to make a SQL query like where rule type equals banner ad or whatever that is. Something else that I do need to become better at is understanding how this entity framework is dealing with a lot of the foreign keys and how I index on like this campaign has a list of targeting rules and a list of ads. So I know that this is a one-to-many relationship. For one campaign, I can have many ads and I can have many targeting rules. And then when I come down here, I have public campaign, so I have one singular campaign, right? So it's a one-to-many. But then, okay, so now from my SQL or from my C#, how do I query these foreign relationships, and how does all of that work? It was something that we kind of skipped over when we were initially working on this project because the way that I like to do my projects is just try to get something that works and then spider out and understand more and more and more. And when we start to have a better understanding, maybe you're able to move to something else, and now you have more context. So I feel like now is actually a pretty good time to start looking at, okay, when we encounter foreign relationships, let's take some time to actually look at it and see what's going on there. But anyways, right now we're doing this. So imagine your current SQL database is a standard library index. You search for books by their exact title or a specific category. Yep. Standard SQL. It's like searching for the art of bread. If the book is titled Sourdough Mastery, you might miss it because the words don't match exactly. Semantic search is like hiring a super intelligent librarian. You tell them, I want something about baking bread. The librarian doesn't just look at the titles, they understand the concepts. So they point you to Sourdough Mastery because in their minds, sourdough and baking bread are sitting right next to each other in the map of ideas. Yeah. So how does it work in Entity Framework? So in EF, you are used to mapping C# types to SQL types, string and varchar, mapping them together. When you add PG vector, you're adding a new mapping, float, or a specialized vector class, to the vector column type. Okay. The setup steps. So first off, I will need to get PG vector entity NuGet packages. Enable the extension in my DB context. You have to tell Postgres to turn on the AI brain when the database is created. So on model creating, I know that we have this because I remember we wrote it. Where is our Ooh, why are we doing this? Go away. Where is our Oh, whoops. I realized I should have changed directories. Okay, how do I revert back? Let's actually, I think I would be able to come here and just delete this, and hopefully it will go away. I'm gonna copy that and go like this, and hopefully I can do get status. Okay, so now I want to do get checkout -b feature semantic search. Get status. Get branch. Okay. Semantic search. Now I want to paste this into there. Okay. So now, now we're on the correct branch. Good. So now I want to go to on modeling. So here, and then go to my models, which is, no, this is the, app DB context. Here we go. So this is setting up the DB context here. And I do on model creating, okay? We do the base model builder dot has Postgres extension vector, okay? So I'm guessing it's going to be above the base. We're gonna have to ask about that. Okay, so define the idea map. in your model, you add a property to your add class. The property doesn't store a single value, but an array of numbers that represent the location at the add of the add on the map of ideas. Okay. So now we have this new thing, which tells the compiler how to, or tells someone the runtime. It tells it something about the data which is right below it. But we didn't do this yet. And it didn't say to do it up there. So why is there a discrepancy? And if we didn't do it, would that cause an error? How the interaction changes. The most significant change in your LINQ query. So LINQ is the translator between C# classes and the actual SQL language query. So select blank from blank where blank. To, instead of equals, double equals, or contains, you use distance operators. Think of the map of ideas again. To find the best add, you aren't asking which add makes this word. You're asking which add is physically closest to the video I'm currently watching. So var winning adds equals await context adds. Okay, so I'm doing asynchronous. Context, this is the database context. Adds, that's the table. Order by, okay, that's normal. Now, here's what's different. Embedding L2 distance, so finding we're ordering by the L2 distance of each of the elements and putting in the input vector that we're trying to find the closest to. Take the top 5 and then do the query. So why this is better than a second database? By using pgvector inside Postgres instead of a separate vector database like Pinecone, your entity framework core logic stays atomic. If you delete campaign, all of the adds are instantly deleted. So, okay, yeah. Technical requirements for C#. To make this work in your project, you ensure that program.cs or contextdb setup includes the vector mapping. Okay. So, when setting up your MPG SQL database source, connection string, use vector. Okay. So now we have a little bit of questions. Okay. So the first one is going to be, what is the actual command to add the correct NuGet package? Okay. I mean, we could probably look that up as well. Let's see. No, not here. I want to do it here. Gvector. C#. Okay, pgvector.net, NuGet. I'm just trying to see without .NET add pgvector. So this is probably the command right there. But we're going to just verify that that's correct. All right, so now we want Gemini. Okay, so I am going to come here and say I want to verify that, and then I want to paste this in and say, should I put the above or below the what? Okay, so where should I put this line? Where should I put this line? Okay. And why did I put it there instead of somewhere else? Okay. The other one that we are going to be asking is down here. For this one, initially you didn't tell me to add this line. What does this line do, and what would happen if I didn't include this line? Okay. And then number 4 is going to be, if I add the line about blank, do I still need to do this? Okay, so we'll ask it. So let's see. So the command to add the package, PG Vector Entity Core Framework. So this is different. So that makes me, obviously I trust the AI a lot more than some random like Google search. But I'm just curious, like, let's do this. So this is the one that I'm going to use, right? But I want to know, when I search Google, I found something on Nougat which gives me a command of like this. What is the difference between this one and the one you gave of this? Why do we see multiple ways of doing it? I want to know the concept behind searching for the right package so that I can develop better as a software engineer. Okay, so that's this one. Where to put this one? So, protected override on model creating. Okay. Register the extension first. Okay. Or should we just write it out? Let's write it out. So, I want to register the PG vector to the entity framework. Model builder dot has Postgres extension. Okay. Vector here. Okay. Why put it there? Think of onModel creating method as the blueprint for your house. Okay. The extension is like the building code. The extension is like the building code. Okay, what does that mean? Extension is like the building code. Or specialized permit, allow solar panels. Building code. So allow solar panel. The tables are the actual rooms. If you try to build a solar panel room, a vector column, before you've told the city, Postgres, that solar panels are allowed, the whole construction will fail. By putting it at the top, you ensure that Entity Framework Core generates a migration. The first thing it does is runs create extension, if not exists, vector, okay? So what does this column line do here? This line is a data annotation. I'm trying to capture these vocabulary words into my head as well. As a data annotation, it tells Entity Framework Core exactly what flavor of column to create in the database. Okay. If you include it, Entity Framework, flavor of column to create. Okay, if I include it, Entity Framework tells Postgres create a column that holds exactly 384 numbers. This is like telling the carpenter build a shelf which is 384 centimeters wide. It's precise and efficient. If I omit it, EF might see my C# property, which is usually a PG vector object, and get confused. It might try to map it to a generic text or byte column, or worse, it might fail because it doesn't know how to translate a specialized AI object into standard SQL type. Why 384? This is because this is based off the model that we use, so we need to make sure that we use the right model. You would change this number for something else. Okay, so let's write this in campaign. So for PG vector, okay, I want to add this, and I'm going to say column, okay, type name is equal to singular equals vector 384, okay, in parentheses in here, these parentheses there. Okay. So data annotation will tell EF what type of vector to create. This will need to have the number which aligns to the specific vectorizing model which I choose later. And then I'm going to tag myself, Tim Grant. Change this to match vector once selected. Okay. There we go. So, okay. Do I still need this? Okay. Yes. Data source builder, use vector. This is the part that often confuses developers. Has Postgres extension, the blueprint tells the database how to store the data. It's for the server side. Use vector, this one, the translator tells my C# application how to talk to the data for the client side, okay? The analogy, imagine you have a friend who only speaks French. Has Postgres extension is like buying your friend a French to English dictionary. Agents, add file. What does agents do? Gems, my stuff, new chat. All right. I should probably get stay focused. Wait, hold on. I have more stuff here. Thinking Pro. Okay. All right. So the analogy has Postgres extension. That's what we just did in here. Has Postgres extension is like buying my friend a French to English dictionary so they can understand me. Use vector is like taking a French class so you can actually send them the right words to use them. So without use vector, my C# code will try to send the vector in a standard array. The vector database will say, I don't know how to send this object. Okay. So now, what is this? In my appdb context, make sure that I add embedding property to my add configuration. Right, we need to add that. Okay, that makes sense. So I need to have so we're talking about the campaign and add here, and then property here. And then I need to say entity dot property. Okay, and now this goes to embedding. Okay, whoops. And now chain this with has column name, so we're telling it the column name which we are looking at. Embedding. Okay. Has column type 3 4 like this. Okay, so all right. So let's go into our bit engine, right? Source here, bit engine here. And now I want to do the .NET add. Oh, did we? Okay, so we asked this question. I'm gonna come here, and then we need to ask more questions up there. So we're very I always say that there's a lot going on, but there's always a lot going on. But we need to kind of try to keep organized, and I need to investigate this. I need to investigate the diction or the sending, not the sending, but I mean this one. We haven't looked at this one yet. Okay, there's a lot that we need to do. So let me come here, and then hopefully we'll get rid of all of these squigglies and what you're seeing is the difference between a base driver and a framework wrapper. Base driver? I am going to write some of these things down. Base driver versus a framework wrapper. Okay. In .NET ecosystem and most languages like Java and Python, okay, libraries are often broken into layers. Understanding these layers will help you navigate any new technology. So, the difference between the two packages. PG Vector, the raw materials. This is the low-level ADAL.NET provider. It teaches your C# code how to understand the binary format of a vector. It's used if you are writing raw SQL strings in your code. The power tool, the raw materials, the power tool. This is built on top of the base package. It teaches Entity Framework how to map these vectors to your C# classes, so you can use LINQ instead of raw SQL strings. Since you're using Entity Framework as seen in your app.db context, you must use the PG vector. It usually includes its base packages automatically as a dependency. Okay, so first thing that I'm going to do, we're going to come back up here. We're going to do this. Actually, I'm going to type it out myself. I want to do that. .NET add package PG vector dot entity framework core. Okay. And now this should change our project file, which is here, and it should add that. PG vector entity framework core. Okay. PG vector entity framework core. Okay. So now I should probably need to go to my, and campaign is also going to need to do that. I need to go and add that to my campaign one. But let's do this here. I'll probably need to do actually, so we included entity framework here. And This one is Microsoft Entity Framework Core. This one is this Entity Framework Core. Why is there a discrepancy between those two? I don't want to get lost in the weeds, but there's so many, like, these questions are actually very important because if you're able to find a lot of these questions, one little misconception can throw you off for hours and hours and hours trying to troubleshoot. So if I'm able to like find these little things and even get aware of their existence, it, I know that it's going to help me dramatically long term, but I'm also just like I want to get going on the project. I want to but okay. So this one is what it said to do. And now we're here. There's a lot going on. Okay. So, oh, why are there multiple ways? Software engineers value modularity. Some engineers hate heavy frameworks like Entity Framework and want to write high performance raw SQL. Don't only need the base PG vector package. Other engineers, like your project, want the speed of development that comes with EF. Yep, they need the wrapper package that bridges the gap between the database and the framework. Okay, how to find the right package. To develop better as an engineer, use this mental checklist when looking at NuGet packages. Check the depends on list. Look at the package on NuGet.org. If you see the if I see what? Hold on. I lost my place. If I see these things, okay, as a dependency, you know it's the right fit. Looking up official versus community standards. For Postgres and .NET, the standard is in PG SQL family. Since PG Vector is official .NET supported, you're in the right place. Okay, search your framework feature. It doesn't say for... Don't just search for vector. Search EF vector. Okay. So, what was all of my questions? I added the package. Okay, and let me come up here. Shared. Okay. And now I should be in here and I can run that exact same command. That, and put that package into this Bitengine one, okay? And then go back up to my top level. Okay, so I added this to my 2 projects. Now I see the lines in the .csproj file. Okay. Item group to item group. Okay. But now I am trying to figure out how to include them in my actual C# files. I notice that my other using commands don't seem to make sense. Okay. For example, my does a I'm doing Microsoft, but this is not the name in my .cs proj file for EF. Okay, this is the name. This is the name. Okay. Ask that question. Alright, so this is a common point of confusion when starting out with .NET. To understand this, you need to separate the package name, what I downloaded, from the namespace. Oh, okay. See, I think I actually asked this question at the very beginning of this project. I just didn't understand, and it told me the answer. I just didn't understand it. Now I come back to it, and I have so much more context because I've been struggling with this project. Like, naturally, right? Whenever you do a project, you're going to struggle with one problem, then you move on, struggle to another one, and struggle with another one. And it's just like continually struggling with different problems. I've struggled with this project for so long now. Now that I come to this and I'm like, oh, okay, now I have a lot more context and understanding about what is going on. NuGet packages, I know what they are now. And so now when it's talking about a NuGet package, I'm like, oh, yeah, that makes complete sense. I'm taking something from the internet and downloading it here. That's going to be its name that it is identified by. Namespace, okay, well, I've created namespaces myself, right? Right there. So I'm creating a namespace. And so now I know what namespaces are and how to include them on my other files. So now I'm able to revisit things and and I have a much more rich context, and it's able to go down easier. Whereas when I looked it up in the past, I learned stuff because I was struggling with it, which is good. I'm a big fan of struggling the right amount, but I didn't fully internalize it yet because I needed to go and learn other concepts as well. And then when I got the opportunity just now to come back to it, I'm like, okay, this makes sense. Package names versus, and good thing we took the time to actually ask that. Hold on a second, let me charge my. And good thing we actually took the time to go and ask that question because you can see it even in my in the video that I like whatever 20 seconds ago or 5 minutes ago whenever I was doing it. I didn't want to ask that question. I kind of wanted to move on. I kind of wanted to just accept it, do using blank, and then press enter, go, and then we move on. Everything works. We're all happy. But I knew that asking that question would help me understand a little concept, right? A little concept, but can cause a big problem if you have some kind of misconception. It can take a 3 hour, 5 hour long troubleshooting session because you have some small little misconception in your brain. So, good thing we actually went and looked it up. Okay, so when you open the toolbox and want to use a specific wrench inside your code, you use namespace. Okay, so package. MPG SQL Entity Framework Core, Postgres SQL, contains many tools that live inside the Microsoft Entity Framework Core and MPG namespace. Okay? Microsoft designed EF Core so that even third-party providers like MPG can add to their tools in the standard Microsoft Entity Core, the namespace, so everything feels like one cohesive system. Okay, so the correct using commands. For your specific file, here are the lines you need to add at the top of the DB context. So we have this, we have the framework core, and now using PG Vector Entity Framework. Okay, so we're getting it from PG Vector. So why the naming is different. This package is the adapter. Does that mean like adapter pattern? I know that there's something called adapter pattern in software engineering. I don't know exactly what it is, but I know that it exists. It doesn't need its own namespace because its job is to implement the existing entity core interfaces it plugs into. The This package adds brand new functionality that doesn't exist in standard EF. Therefore, it uses its own namespace. Okay, okay. So in here, I need to come in here and say using PG vector dot entity framework core, like this, and now we should get rid of the errors that we were seeing right here, and we do. Okay, so now we're getting into this question. The package is the adapter. Okay, so one we do Microsoft Entity Framework, and the other one we do PG Vector Entity Framework. Okay. Let me take a sip of water before I go and start to think about this. Okay. Why the naming is different. The package is, so for the NPG Entity Framework Core, this package is the adapter. It doesn't need its own namespace. It doesn't need its own namespace because its job is to implement the existing entity framework interfaces. Okay, it plugs into the Microsoft Entity Framework Core thing. Okay. This package adds brand new functionality that doesn't exist. So it needs its own namespace. Okay. If you're ever unsure which namespace or package you can run, or look at the NuGet package, usually the documentation or README section, and it will show code snippets. Okay. So now I need to go into my other one here, and I probably need to use the same thing, although I'm not getting an error, so I don't know. What if I did Docker compose up? Do I get a compilation error? Oh, but I need to build it, right? Because, and let me articulate why. When I do Docker compose up, Docker compose is going to see that there are already images that have been built with the same name, and it's not going to register that those images have actually changed, or that my code has changed, so it's not going to rebuild them. Okay, so I need to make sure that I do that. All right. Why is this like... What's going on here? Just gonna delete these. Go on. Okay, gonna go like this, and then can I do new terminal? Okay. Docker pose build, I think it is. Let's see if we get an error. User would like to access data from other apps. But I don't know. Does it need to? Okay, fine. I don't know. Okay. Docker compose up. Okay. So now I want to go to here. Oh. Alright, that should be okay. I'm going to go to my add project, and I'm going to just refresh the page, and we should see it trigger there. I know I returned. So we broke stuff. Okay. We broke stuff. Okay. Alright, okay. Well, we haven't added everything yet. It might be because we added that string to our class, and it thinks, and now the C# or the entity framework doesn't match the physical or the actual physical SQL table. So now I need to look at this. When setting up here, I need to do, what is this? So program.cs. So here's where we're building things. So I'm going to say, now I am trying to do this. Here is my program.cs, and here, and you already saw my app DB context. Okay. The way you handle data source is slightly different than a simple app comp. Because you're using builder service AppDB context, you need to configure the MPG data source first and tell entity framework to use that specific source. Okay. So I need to add these two things. using npg SQL, okay, using pg vector dot entity framework core, okay. Now we have this builder here, web application, connection string, okay, and now before services, create the data source with the secret sauce. This teaches the low-level driver how to handle the vector type. Okay. So I'm just gonna copy it right now, and data source builder is equal to new in PG SQL data what? Data source builder, okay? Data source builder with connection string, okay? Data source builder dot use vector, okay? Var data source, okay? Data source is equal to data source builder dot build. Okay, so right now there's a lot of stuff that's kind of going on right now. And I'm trying to keep everything straight. I need to investigate this. So I'm going to say Grant investigate why and how I needed to use this. Okay. So then I have this one, which is the builder services add DB context of app DB context option use npg SQL, and then data source. So this one needs to change to data source, okay? Here, okay. Why do we do it this way? In older versions of .NET, we just passed connection string, the address of the database, and called it a day, okay? I like that. By using npg SQL data source builder, we are creating a smart connection. The problem. By default, C# thinks every column is a string, number, or date. It has no idea what a vector is. The solution. Data source builder pre-configures the connection so every time a piece of data travels between Postgres and C# app, it knows exactly how to pack and unpack those 384 numbers. Verification checklist. Before you run this, make sure that there are 3 things in sync. The interface, okay, the blueprint, the driver, okay. You'll notice I added using here to, yep. The reason, the data source lives in the core namespace, which is the foundational driver for Postgres. Okay, so let me close out of all this. And then we want to do .NET or Docker compose build, run everything. Okay. Now, Docker compose up. And now I'm going to refresh this and we get nothing. Maybe it's because we haven't been listening yet. Let me refresh it. Okay. So now, refresh it once more. I'm going to copy this. And paste it into here. That. Dependency injection, circular dependency of a recursive call. Looking at the repetitive pattern here, the lines repeating over and over, it looks like .NET Service Provider is stuck in an infinite loop trying to create one of your services. Okay. Bid controller calls bid selector here. The loop is trying to resolve its own dependencies, but something in that train is asking for DB context. Okay. The culprit, check campaign cache bid selector constructors for these patterns. Self-injection. What? Okay, this is another thing that I want to look up. Circular, or dependency injection, circular dependency. Dependency injection. So we know about dependency injection. Circular dependency. Okay. Based on my logs, here's the chain of events. Bid controller calls bid selector calls campaign cache calls appdb context campaigns. Okay. The loop is trying to resolve its own dependencies, but something in that chain is asking for DB context. Check campaign cache and bid selector constructors for these patterns. Self-injection. Does campaign cache have campaign cache in its own constructor? The love triangle. Bid selector needs campaign cache. Okay. Wait, does appdb context try to use campaign cache inside of its on model creating? Check the inner exception. Stop the app and look at the first exception. It will usually say okay. I don't know. Can you share the constructor part of campaign cache bid? Okay. Cache is like this. So let's go to campaign cache. Where are you? This. And then bid selector. Okay, bid selector. here. Confirm the dependency chain, but the infinite loop in your specifically happens. Okay, so is usually registered as scoped when you use is trying to initialize itself. Likely culprit. Well, you didn't show the appdb shows it stuck in. All right, so what we're gonna do is we are going to come in here to documents, docs here. We are going to create a new folder called what? Troubleshooting. I'm gonna call it shooting documentation. Okay. Then we are going to go to Mr. Copilot. We are going to let it know of our issues. I am experiencing issues when I attempt to request an ad from my web page. Neither ad loads. Fix the error, then write a description of what caused the issue and how you fixed it in my docs troubleshooting. What do I call it? Troubleshooting what? I'm gonna rename that. Rename and get rid of documentation. Troubleshooting folder. Okay. Go. Okay, yes, you are allowed to. Oh, I should have looked at my tokens. I think it was 44. Now we're at 46. Okay, yes, you're allowed to. Okay. Docker compose -D and build. Okay, now it's probably going to ask to do Docker. Okay, so it is attempting to query it. Bit engine logs, okay. We're at 46 and we have 11 days. Okay. We're doing fine. We're doing fine. Okay. So I think it found something wrong. Hopefully it did. Okay. So it's reading all of this stuff. So it changed things in my campaign CS. It deleted something from my AppDB context. Compose, remove orphans. Okay, sure. Okay. Change more stuff in campaign CS. Okay. If I didn't need to worry about the tokens, this would be even more fun. I would just be like, change, 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 right? Like, okay. Continue. Yep. Allow. Okay. Where we at now? So we're still at 46. Okay. Ah. Whoops. Well. Okay, whatever. Whatever. We committed. Okay, fine. Please write to troubleshooting. And it did not write to troubleshooting. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for that. But I mean, I explicitly said to do troubleshoot, right? Let me make sure. Write a description of what in my troubleshooting folder. Okay. Okay. I found, I guess we need to do it this way. I found that Bitengine was failing because Entity Framework Core couldn't map add embedding, PG vector, and the recently added add description column wasn't in the DB. I marked both as not mapped and removed the explicit vector. Did the exact opposite of what I wanted. Right? Hold on a second. This is. Hold on a second. Wait, where did it do this? Where are the changes? Shared here. Okay. So what we're gonna do is come in here and try to grab. Oh, come on. It doesn't. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. I'm so glad that it doesn't scroll. I am so happy that it did the exact opposite of what I wanted it to. It, oh my gosh. Copilot, it did. It decided that it was going to undo my changes that I worked on just now. Come on, man. It didn't write what I told it to in the specific location. And it committed those changes to, oh man, now it's gonna come. Literally everything that it did was wrong. That's fine. It's fine. It's fine. We will now need to clean up its mess. I asked agentic Copilot to find and fix the error. Here is the result. I think it deleted all. Okay. So I am going to check this. We're still at 46. I'm going to undo everything. Delete. Yeah, so it just deleted this one. This is like the second time that Copilot has acted in this way. It just like deletes the line that causes the problem. It's just like, oh, okay, this line is causing a problem. Delete it. Well, no, I wanted you to fix the problem, not just delete the line. That does. Okay. 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 So we're going to undo you. And this now it just says not mapped. Awesome. Awesome. That's exactly what I didn't want. Great. Now, do I. Okay, good. This is still there at least. So, here is the result. I reverted the changes because it deleted my work to actually perform the vector method that me and you have been working on. But do these log files help you understand what the problem might be? They confirm exactly what was going on and why the AI assistant chose a nuclear option. Yeah, that. Tell me about it. Essentially, the AI assistant saw that the engine was on fire and decided to disable the engine's new part, not mapped, rather than fixing the wiring. Yes, it got the site back up, it reverted the intelligence we've been trying to build. Yes. the real the real meaning of errors. The log points to two distinct issues that are actually easy to fix properly. So number 1, add embedding. PG vector mapping fails. This happens because entity framework saw the PG vector type didn't have the translator here. Without the translator, okay, I have no idea what to do. Add description, missing column. You added a property in C# class, but the SQL database didn't know about it yet. In SQL, you asked for a column that doesn't exist. Okay. Re-enable vector search. To get back to where you are without errors, you should follow these steps in order. Restore. So do this. Yes. Okay, yes. Fix the database schema. Okay, instead of hiding the columns from, we need to tell the database to create it. Run these commands. Okay. Update. Okay. The startup configuration. Ensure that it has a secret sauce. Error number 1. Okay, so program 1 here. We have this and data source. Okay. Context, we have this. In campaign, we have these. Okay. Both of those are present. Okay. Okay, so the only thing that we yes. And where should I do those commands? Give me a step-by-step guide. Okay. So now I'm gonna try Docker compose build. Hopefully we just don't get a compilation error. Okay. Docker compose up. Okay, so no returned, that's fine. Let's just make sure that we get something good. Okay, it didn't like completely crash and like we're able to get something. You should run these commands in my terminal at the root of my project folder. Okay. So I'm gonna come here. Root of my project folder. Now I'm gonna do .NET tool install entity framework core tools installed. Okay, this command scans your DB context and adds class, compares them to a snapshot of my old database, and writes a C# script to bridge the gap. So let's try it. Okay, then let's try this. this and paste that. Okay. Now what should I do? Okay, update my path. Run this command so you don't need to restart your terminal. Okay, fine. Right now I'm just trusting whatever it says to do. Verify this. Yep, okay. Run the migration. Okay. No project was found. Needs to be run from the folder that contains. Okay. Source. Bid engine. Yes. Now. Bid engine reference. Oh my goodness. Oh, no. Shared, right? Because they changed it now. Alright, we changed it. Ah! Bid engine folder and run. I know that this is in the shared, but I'm just seeing if I can do it from shared. Okay, well, then let me go here and then go to here and then run that same .NET add package. I don't know what this is doing right now. I'm just trying to, I don't know, man. At this point, I think I might just delete, just like revert everything. Just trying to give you the latest. Oh my goodness, man. Bid engine folder. I'm going to find, okay, fix. Explicitly tell core to use PG vector. Okay. Okay, do I want to just revert everything or do I want to continue with things? I'm not quite sure because I did a ton that I don't understand what I did. Right now, I'm just randomly doing things, which is not the best thing to be doing. So now I have this with a whole bunch of things. Okay, so what I think I might do, I'm going to end the video here. In the next video, I'm going to try to possibly not worry about this right here. I'm going to revert everything, and then I am going to try to understand this first and then make the changes. Okay, I think that's the way I'm going to do things. So yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked it, subscribe. I would love to have you along for the journey. And yeah, my name is Timothy Lee Grant. See you in the next video.